for joining me. My name is Ari. I am one of the co-founders of Connects Pros. Today I want to talk about a really important topic, at least to me, and I believe to the entire world, which is the topic of bias. Because bias, it impacts every aspect of life, especially the chaotic world that we live in currently. Bias, I believe, is a huge factor in that. But putting the world aside and just focusing on business, bias comes into play more often than most people recognize. I've experienced this in so many different levels, especially on a personal level, having been in people's homes or going to people's homes to engage them and hopefully get them onto a contract, whether for HVAC, whether for roofing, whether for windows. And again, it's a natural human thing to do, but the better we are at controlling our biases and not allowing bias to control us and our decision making, the more likely we are for success. So I just want to give you a couple of examples of things that I've seen, whether here internally at Connects Pros, not just necessarily with our clients, but just internally in general, things that I've seen myself going to people's homes, and the other things that I've seen and I've understood from our own clients here to help everyone understand how we can be better at what we do, how we could be more successful, and how we could obviously convert more potential clients into our clients. So the first thing is, we're here in a company, we do lead generation. Yes, like we are dealing in a business where 9 out of 10 people that enroll in our services have had a poor experience with lead generation. So they're coming in with a natural bias and a natural leaning. And I can't blame them, because I would do the same if I was in their shoes and I've been burned or I have not had the best experiences with the multitude of places they've worked with in the past. But at the same time, I've also seen this as a negative. Why is it a negative? Is because with that bias, what ends up happening? We get someone a lead or even 2 or 3 leads, and the initial leads are not the perfect lead. It is not exactly what they're wanting, or maybe even just flat out a bad lead that would be returned and we credit. So instead of allowing us to do the processes that we built our company on and built a reputation with our clients on, the bias comes into play, and as a result of it, immediate judgment. This is like what I've experienced before. They're the same. So it's a judgment that's happening. And again, that would not be the case because I have so many cases, thousands of them, of clients of ours that don't come in with that bias or don't allow it to cloud their judgment of the current situation. And as a result of it, they became awesome clients. Might have been some bumps in the road getting things to a standard, but the people that had that bias didn't get the benefit from what we offer. So I see obviously that as a problem because people are signing up for our service to get those benefits. That's one example. I see this within our own team. Again, salespeople, they're no different whether they're out there selling your home improvement or home services product to folks, or whether they're here in our company and reaching out to folks over the phone in order to enroll them into our service. I see the bias all the time. Again, we get inquiries, people that are warm interest into what we do over here on a daily basis. And we get these over to people, and people judge them based on just even a category name. I have one representative here that's had a struggle selling junk removal. So he is a bias towards anyone coming in with junk removal. To make a long story short, one of the big national franchises for junk removal, we've, thank God, did wonderful with some of their franchisees, recommended us, and now we are, an approved vendor with tons of their franchisees signing up. Well, that same individual has a very different opinion because those people started putting in inquiries, warm inquiries to us, and we're calling them, and they're not giving the same blowback in terms of the way our service works, not the same feedback that caused those biases. Well, his attitude's very different. Whenever he sees a junk removal inquiry come in, he's smiling. So bias comes into play, and then could have made so many more enrollments, so many other people benefiting from our service if that bias didn't come into play in advance. These are some examples here, and there's plenty of others that I could share with you here in our own company and just in life in general. I've also been on the other side of the equation, and I'm a human. I did the same thing. I rolled up to people's homes, and I judged the book by the cover. I look at the home, in my mind, definitely not the nicest of homes. I'm coming to sell window replacements. I'm already judging them. Does it impact me in terms of how I present to that person, in terms of how I really engage with them and build rapport with them? 100%. Because the same thing is said on the other side. There's a positive bias, which actually has a negative impact, because I've rolled up to people's homes that are multi-million-dollar homes, and immediately, this is going to be a good call. I learned the hard way, and that's the message I want to get across to help you to be successful and not have these same pitfalls that I've experienced. Don't allow bias to play in. Again, I need more than two hands to count the number of times that I have then, after I recognize that that's what's happening, that I approached everyone in a consistent fashion without any bias. Those homes that didn't look like the winners, you'd be amazed at how many of them bought, and not just bought, but spent that much more than the people that I prejudged as well as being big buyers because of the size of their home. So again, bias comes into play in all aspects. Thank God I recognize that, and again, that's the messages I want to make sure we're getting over to us. I mentioned the word consistency. It's impossible to be consistent, which is one of the key elements of being a successful salesperson, a successful closer of deals, is that consistency factor. So if each call is different based on those prejudgments, it's impossible to be consistent. We're going to approach them differently. And this is often happening on even a subconscious level. So the key is tuning in and making it in our consciousness to make sure we are not judging people and not with bias. This happens as well even here with the leads that we sell. I've seen a lot of cases recently where homeowners put in the notes into the leads, into the comments of what it is they need done. And they're not very descriptive sometimes. We've had contractors returning leads to us suggesting bad lead, really just a small job. We also call, we have a lead verification department calling every single lead we deliver. And when it's being connected to that homeowner, we find out, yeah, that's not the only part of the project. There's a lot more. They just weren't able to describe it in the notes. Well, those notes likely biased the contractor as they go into the call, and they're assuming this is all there is, as opposed to going into it with an open mind. I'm here to help. Hey, what kind of work are you looking to get done? And coming out and giving them an estimate for the entire project. And again, these are opportunities that are missed. And that's the reason I'm doing this as my topic today. Opportunities, they're gold. We've got to grasp onto them with both hands and make sure we are doing everything we can to maximize our results, maximize our success with every opportunity. We're not going to close every job. We're not going to close every deal. That's reality. But if we go in with the right mindset of not being biased, not judging people based on what we see, based on our previous histories, any things that have happened to us, and we go in a neutral mindset, we are setting ourselves up for success. I've experienced it myself. I encourage you to take a hard look at ourselves and ask yourselves and ask your teams when you're going out for appointments, what are those thoughts when you arrive to the house? Are you making judgments based on the person's name, perhaps indicating an ethnicity? Are you making judgments based on the neighborhood that it's in or the zip code that it's in? As opposed to being a judgmental person, be a successful person. Successful people have no reason to judge. We go in and we take it as it comes. I promise you, from my own experience, it will relate to more jobs. It will also relate to much better conversations. It will relate to you having rapport with the client at the real level. So I encourage you to take a hard look inside and see if we are operating out of bias. Hey, at least we could do it in the business world. If the world did this as well, we'd be in a much better place. I appreciate you tuning in and wishing you only success.